Thank you, Sophia, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. We will be talking about leveling up. That happens when Metaverse meets video games. Now let's think about it. The Metaverse is like the ultimate cheat code to unlock the world where stories are anything but linear. It's a place where you can be the hero, the mischievous troublemaker, or even a dancing unicorn if you fancy. In this realm, engagement reigns supreme, and you are the one holding the joystick, shaping your destiny. It's like a choose your own adventure book on steroids. You can understand that I'm talking in a very good way of the metaverse. Sorry. Please, next slide. Thank you. Uh, Here are some key points for interpreting the metaverse from a semiotic perspective, but I won't be speaking in a semiotic jargon. Instead, I'll try to turn it into a story. So let's dive in and embark on a journey through the metaverse. Imagine a world where stories come to life, not bound but the constraints of linearity or predictable progression. The metaverse is exactly that, a place where imagination knows no limits. It's like stepping into a non sequential, non linear text that defies all the rules of traditional storytelling. In this realm, you become the protagonist, actively participating in shaping your own destiny. And now, let's unleash the metaverse madness, where reality meets geekdom. So, buckle up because we are diving headfirst into the craziest phenomenon of our time. We are talking about a mind bending realm that is shaping the future of human interaction and leaving traditional norms in the dust. So hold on tight as we embark on this wide journey through the metaverse. There are four dynamics we discovered taking place in the metaverse. The first one is the dynamics of experimentation. So, wow, mad scientists unite. Welcome to the Metaverse Laboratory, when the rules of reality get twisted and the wildest experiments come to life. It's a place where you can try out those crazy ideas you have had without worrying about real life consequences. Want to be a superhero? Go for it. Feeling mischievous? Let your inner troublemaker loose. The metaverse is a personal playground of possibilities when even failure is an opportunity to learn without looking like a total fool. The dynamics of experimentation offer market researchers new avenues for gathering consumer insights, testing and iterating on products, engaging consumers in co creation, understanding virtual marketplaces, and monitoring brand perception. Now, the second one is the dynamics of confrontation and collaboration. So, squad up or showdown. Get ready for the ultimate gaming squad showdown in the metaverse. It's like assembling your very own Avengers team, but with headsets and controllers. You and your fellow gamers form an unbreakable bond, facing epic quests and challenges together. It's all about teamwork. But hold up, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes you gotta face off against each other in fierce competition. It's like a wild west showdown where only the strongest survive. Collaboration and confrontation collide in this virtual battleground. Market researchers should recognize the influence and significance of peer groups within the metaverse. These groups foster a sense of belonging and collaboration. which can impact consumer behavior and preferences. Studying the dynamics of these peer groups can provide insights into their identities, motivations, attitudes, and preferences within the metaverse. Okay, third, the dynamics of alter ego, and authorial power. That means having superpowers. In the metaverse, you are not just a player, you are a bona fide superhero shaping your own destiny. With this authorial power, you become the master of this digital universe, calling the shots and writing your own story. And what else? You even get to create your alter ego, a digital twist that is cooler than any other alter ego you have ever dreamed of. It's like it's like having a personal superhero version of yourself, ready to conquer the virtual world. The skills you gain here aren't just for show, they level up your real life game too. Talk about becoming a superhero in and out of the metaverse. The fourth one is the dynamics of motivation. That means power up. All right, let's talk motivation. In the metaverse, you've got all the thrills, mind blowing superpowers, and the chance to level up your skills like a pro. It's not that simple in the real life. It's like an adrenaline rush that keeps you on the edge of your seat. And here's the best part, we can use this game Wonderland to understand human behavior better than ever before. By tapping into people's drive to become virtual superheroes, we uncover their deepest desires, dreams, and how they transform themselves in this mind blowing virtual wonderland. Okay, now what implications for companies and the future of business? The metaverse is not just a geek's paradise, it's a gold mine for companies too. The metaverse presents an opportunity for business to connect with consumers in unprecedented ways, fostering immersive experiences that transcend traditional marketing approaches. By understanding the metaverse transformative power, companies can leverage interactivity, exploration, and autonomy to create authentic connection with their target audiences, driving innovation and propelling their organization into the future. Now, the conclusion. We are standing on the edge of a digital revolution where technology, creativity, and human potential collide in the metaverse. It's a place where the impossible becomes possible and innovation knows no bounds. So let's dive first into this mind-boggling realm where reality meets geekdoms and shape a future where imagination reigns supreme. Thank you, and may the virtual force be with you. I will pass my microphone to Massimo. Thank you.
Okay, I will try to introduce what I believe can be a bias in understanding the metaverse and all the ink which has been flowing about it there recently. The metaverse is not built for us adults. It's for the alphas, the generation of those that were born between 2010 and 2024. They're going to be over 2 billion and they get it. They understand, they play and use the metaverse because they have a symbiotic relationship with everything that is digital. One of the biggest metaverses by number of daily users is Roblox. And 45% of the several million users of Roblox daily are below 12 years of age. They are already playing and ready to embrace the opportunities offered by virtual reality and augmented reality. Often, Sometimes they meet after school with their own classmates to continue playing and know pretty much instinctively how to build games and perform actions, which instead require some digging to us adults. Um, the alpha are true digital natives, and they often learn to use a smartphone even before they learn to read and write. By studying them, child psychologists have found that tech is a part of their identity and it's not considered as a communication medium. Those of you who have a child who is 13 or less may know what I'm talking about. Actually, let's look at a short video that explains the motivation that attract kids and people in general. Let's see why people want to
Good morning,
join.
everyone. My name is Daniela Fuyani, and I have been a market research for more than 20 years. Thank you for inviting us to this important event. I begin by introducing you to the role of the avatar in defining one's personality. Let's get started. The entry key into the metaverse is your avatar, which represents your virtual ego. Websites offer the possibility to build your avatar simply and free of charge, either with realistic human forms or often with a cartoonification that is very popular with the younger audience or using completely abstract objects or shapes. Avatar creation offers complete freedom of expression, and you can decide to be anywhere or anything and change and transform into someone or something completely different with a few simple tricks. The metaverse represents the possibility of implementing one's need of fluid identity. Observing the inhabitants of the metaverse, we notice that the younger generation often choose an abstract connotation with strong personality, low anthropomorphism. The strong need to get away from one's earthly self and from those ideals of perfection linked to the body is clearly perceivable, beyond the constraints that the body imposes and on which the new generation debate. Overcoming ableism, body shaming, stigma, and prejudice. But the social judgment is passed on the avatar choice and its characterization. The more you spend on the construction of the avatar, the more you have a good social approval. The narrative in Metaverse is also in line with the social cultural humus in which the target moves. Racial and physical inclusiveness, but also explication and enhancement of diversity, expressiveness and emotionality, no rules. The metaverse has become increasingly important as a result of the pandemic as well, the response to being shut home and the hunger for social relationship. The metaverse is a different place and people project themselves into it in many ways. It is not just gaming, but factual, concrete, practical, present, and tangible. The metaverse offers interesting opportunities for market research, setting, immersive, realistic, but also fantastic new setting, creativity, giving space to freedom of drive, freeing oneself from one's role, being able to talk about embarrassing topics because the avatar acts as a shield. Thank you for your attention.
Massimo, your video, please. Can you put it back on? Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
Thank you. You're
So,
perfect.
okay, because I have to manage the presentation, I can't see two screens at the same time. Okay, so we have proof that an avatar is like a canvas. You paint it the way you feel and represent yourself in whichever way you wish. Avatars can be anthropomorphic, zoomorphic, but also resemble old fashioned objects. They can be primitive or even abstract and symbolic. Anything goes to underline the feeling of freedom that permeates your actions in the metaverse. actually these are representations of avatars and the real people behind them. Now I'll leave the world to Luca talking about the tools of research in the metaverse.
Yeah, hello. Let's see if it works. Can you hear me?
Yep.
No, cannot hear me. Can you? All right.
Yes, see and hear you
Excellent.
perfectly.
Sorry. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Massimo, for the nice presentation. Thanks, Stefania, for the earlier part. And thank you, all of you that are listening. This is a very exciting project we have undertaken. And so I will try to, explain a little bit how the metaverse can be, in our opinion, used in terms of research tool. Next slide, please. So very much like in the real world, also in the metaverse, it is possible, of course, to apply both passive and active research techniques. That is by both observing behavior and by involving participants in various research activities. Very much like we have been doing for over 25 years now with online research. Little or no adaptation is needed to apply such a technique to from the real world to the metaverse. Some of the concern we have had with online research, of course, are likely to be to apply to research in the metaverse, right? Establishing the identity of participant is one of them. Finding and motivating them to participate it's also an issue, and rewarding the contribution to the research is also something that we need to address. Next slide, please. Yeah, the metaverse we think that metaverse must not be a simulacrum, an ersatz for research. We're not trying to fix the issue. We want to create new opportunity to uncover insights. Next one, please. Let's now take a look at how various research tools could work if applied to the metaverse. Next. Individual discussions taking place on the metaverse resemble very much a structured, in-depth interviews whereby the researcher may lead the participant to discuss specific topics. Then there are both ethnographics, eventually coupled with active participation of the research, and accompanied shopping, which are well-known and documented research technique, which can be applied to metaverse quite straightforwardly. Compared to physical world sessions, creativity exercise in the metaverse can provide enhanced results thanks to the anonymity filter granted by the avatar, basically, and by the possibility that gamified context allows for greater freedom of expression by participants. The metaverse is driving augmented reality application, therefore offering new opportunities for sensory research. But most interesting to us, and next slide, please, is the opportunity offered by the metaverse to shift the paradigm from questionnaire to quest, basically. So what do we mean by that? Is that what we are envisaging are native research solutions that are based essentially on serious gaming logics and non-linear modifiable narratives, like it has already been explained and discussed. The task we think can be asked of participants are essentially clustered into two categories. There will be choosing task, aimed to understand and map participant preference and thinking process. And there will be competing task, targeted to measure the proximity between participant and given stimuli. This will be product, brand, concept, etc. The analysis will increasingly focus not only on the outcome of the task performed by participant, but also on the path used to reach such an outcome. And of course, the experience will be interactive and perceived as real. So basically, yes, research will grow into doing more and more fun stuff. This is what we envisage. For instance, next slide, please. You can think about shooting the brand you do not like to wear amongst this. Or you can select the powder that will save the kittens. And I will pass on the mic again to Max for another part about the downfall of the metaverse. Thank you.
Thanks, Luca. During our visits in the metaverse, because we've all been there together many times, we also have discovered the less positive side of it. As for everything new and in constant evolution, there is also a dark side, which I want to highlight. It's a downside of all the positive features that we have discussed, but I want to dedicate some time to this topic because in my view, it just needs to be addressed. So what's not okay with the metaverse? I think it's a matter of intensity. So I like to see it as the existence of a continuum with two opposites and everything in between, okay? Especially for underage people who are not of age, for kids. The palette of experiences can range from awesome to sometimes destructive. There's a very subtle balance, okay? So let's see what we noticed as research scientists and social scientists. So there's a number of topics, as you can see. We have noticed that on one side, there's kindness. The metaverse can be a place to be considerate, generous, helpful, caring. But there's also violence, which is verbal violence, visual, psychological. It's rather frequent. You can be harassed, bullied, people misbehave, kids misbehave with insults, accusation, judgments, allusion, scurrility. To me, too much individual freedom can easily push people outside the boundaries of civility. There is connection, making new friends, meeting as many people as you want, participating in events that take place on the other side of the world is amazing. But there's also the chance of addiction. Addiction means dependency from the device. The mobile phone addiction is likely to be included in the next edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Psychological Diseases. And also there is the risk of addiction to the platform, or even a dependence to your avatar as a super alter ego. So the accent becomes on having versus being. Of course, there's freedom, being whatever you want to be, doing whatever you want to do, whenever you feel like doing it, going wherever you want to go. But there's also control. The platforms are moderated and without a real clarity of rules, only very general principle. This makes room for local laws and police bots, which are specific to every platform. But why does each platform have the freedom to make its own law? And most of all, apply it in the way that it deems most appropriate. In the end, please bear in mind that on top of all the right or less right controls, there is an absence of punishment. You can be banned from the platform as the worst option. You can be bounded, I think Stefani already said it, in the metaverse. This means being you in life while being someone else in the metaverse, but establishing clear boundaries between your life in the real world and your study, your work, your hobbies, and your activities in the metaverse. And you can continue being critical, cross-checking things, stay alert, be selective. But you also can become boundless, morphing yourself in your avatar into a paradoxical self, losing sight of the boundaries between real and virtual, especially when very soon augmented reality and real reality will be mixed together. Your identity can be fluid. There's a total freedom of expression, but there's also a form of self-recoding. There are social codes even for an anthropomorphic avatar. You can feel obliged to follow specific dress codes, display the use of certain brands, feeling the pressure to conform to your peers, exactly like it happens for kids in real life. Absolutely, this one's tricky. You can have a solid notion of value, but there's also a miseducation on the concept of value. What I mean by this, people spend money in the metaverse, actual money. 2022 Roblox revenue was over 2 billion US dollars. And most adults have learned or have been educated on the value of money. But playing with coins, which are gained by playing games in the metaverse, versus purchasing the platform currencies, which you can do with actual money, is confusing, as the currency exchange relation are asymmetrical. Coins cannot be traded or sold. In synthesis, I would say there is a risk of losing individual, social, and cultural barriers. There's already a lot of discussion on the web about ethics and AI, but the urgency of these instances derives from the need to protect an audience that we have seen to be so young that it doesn't yet have the psychological resources to properly process and manage episodes of violence. And now I am supposed to leave the word to Daniela. Is Daniela there? No, she's not. Okay, so I will continue on behalf of Daniela. Why are we telling you all of this? Because we need to take care of the needs of kids, and because kids, especially when they are below 13 years of age, and remember, you can find people at 8, 9, 10, very frequently in the metaverse, are shaping their identity, need to understand and decode the world in terms of value, ethics, and rules. Stefania told you that the narrative that is fueled in the metaverse is a narrative which is non-linear, but also a narrative of omnipotence. Okay, you can do whatever you want. You can, everything is possible. Nothing can stop you. But this concept of omnipotence must be regulated by the awareness of norms and rules that need to be respected. Okay. Also, we've talked about violence, and when observing kids in the metaverse, they tend to underestimate the dangers of the web and look too much self-assured. There are haters all over the place on social media, including in the metaverse, so in the World Wide Web in general, and in the metaverse. Kids face haters by telling you, what's online can't really touch me, but actually they can be easily affected and develop and display attitudes which are too dependent on someone else's judgment. And also another thing which we want to bring to your attention, when we invented and we are in the process of developing these native tools for the research tools for the metaverse, the expressing of yourself via an avatars can be detached from the norms of real society. Okay. This can create a biased perception of key functional elements that are essential for kids' growth and development. Somebody else, I think, mentioned the idea of AI and ethics, and there's also a need of ethics in the metaverse. And specifically for children, acting without boundaries and without respect for others, and lack of sanctions, and this concept of economic value, we really want to underline these because we have seen it. We have seen the potential dangers that actually this can create. And so we wanted to bring it to your attention. The metaverse is illimited, but people studying the metaverse are also highlighting a few issues that need to be resolved before it becomes, truly mainstream, because it's currently very, very fragmented. There is no interoperability, so you can't move seamlessly from one platform to another. There is no common currency across platforms. Everybody's got their own cyber or crypto. You have a different avatar or a different ID for every platform you take part to. So you become a multi-self. You don't have ownership of data. Somebody had already mentioned the issues with privacy and data ownership. There are no common standards. And of course, the risk of misinformation that goes across the World Wide Web is known to everybody. So we want to conclude by saying that the metaverse would need an ethical regulatory framework, at least for kids. You know, adults can do, we respect their individual liberty, but kids is a different story. So actually, if we want to make it very, very successful, which is, I think, the purpose of a lot of people around here, we need to, of course, to solve the issues that are currently affecting the whole World Wide Web, and they kind of stain this color onto the metaverse, because actually there's more than 3 billion people out there who are ready to interact and change the game. And if they, if we fix this thing, they will be there. The future, well, the future, as usual, there's many, many promises, a fully immersive, multi-sensorial experience with haptic devices stimulating touch, neurostimulation for smell and taste. Avatars will have actual people's body size. This is an option. This is a choice. But look at this example from Meta Hero. This actually offers the possibility to try products on. You can try, your avatar can try the clothes, and if they fit on your avatar, they will also fit on you, because that's exactly the same measures. Another thing would be trying makeup, experiencing a lot of different things. People need to own the avatar as a non-functional token. And of course, when artificial reality will mix the real world, augmented reality will mix the real world and the metaverse, we will be able to be in real life and in the metaverse at the same time. So I'm closing this by saying that research, actually consumer insight, can play a part in helping create experiences which need to be safe and kind of educational for our children, because they will interact with people, brands, and products in the metaverse, whether we like it or not. So we better get ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimo, Stefania, Luca, and Daniela. That was very interesting. If you could get your cameras back on now. We now have some time for some Q&A. Does anybody in the audience already have a question? I will give you a second to sort of reflect on that. Daniela, happy to see you.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi,
Daniela.
sorry for my delay. Sorry.
Not a problem. We enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you
were
very
here
much.
in spirit.
Sorry.
All right. I have a couple of questions, but maybe I would start by saying, would it be possible to tell us a bit more concretely examples of how you were conducting consumer research in the metaverse, whether you were able to sort of have focus groups, if there was compensation, was it, have you been able to sort of, more concretely give us some examples of your playing around in there?
Yeah, can I start about it? I don't know if I can
Sure.
start. Okay, I don't think that we have to use the traditional ways of research into metaverse, because you have to adapt your research methods and methodologies, starting by a top-down, no, down-top methodology. So I am an expert on video games. I wrote a book. I wrote 2 books, so that doesn't matter. But I think that if you want to approach these people, and if you want to get to know how they are, how their attitudes are, their desires, their dreams, or whatever, you have to play the same way. So the same way is play on, is gaming. And I'm not sure that you can adapt questionnaires or focus groups inside that environment, because every environment has its own research tool. So we are, not me, Massimo, is thinking about a new methodology, and I think he is on the same page with me, thinking about there is no a traditional way till now to go into the metaverse and to understand people, but to the great challenge is to be like they are. I think I think to I think to I hope I have been clear. Okay.
Yeah. Does anybody also want to jump in before we go to another question?
Yeah, there's an insight actually that happened, early this year. We were more on the let's try to fix the issues that the metaverse has. You will never know who is really truly behind this avatar. Is this a guy or a girl? Is he old, or the demographics, all the traditional information that require to select somebody for a research project, you'll never get to know with certainty. So they said, okay, so what can we do? Actually, the true insight is that the amount of information and knowledge that you can distill and detect from these people is much higher, because you're going to see people, like, when they are filling in the questionnaire, you can actually kind of see what's going on in their minds via the actions and the type of sequence, the time. I mean, it's like looking at a questionnaire in 3D from our standpoint. And so this is not just what they say, but how they say, how they behave, the choices they make, the time they take to make the choices. All of these elements are going to be very, very informative, so that we get to a much deeper understanding of why people make the choices that they do. And just remember, also today it's so dramatically complex to get to speak with Gen Alpha, more than Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and you are able to find them there. Maybe quite willing to participate. We've been speaking to some, texting more than anything else, because they are not allowed to speak if they're not 13, but they're there, and they will take part. And this is a natural way for them to get in touch with them.
Interesting. Any questions? If you're feeling shy about raising your hand and turning on your video, you can send it via chat and I can read it out loud. This is an opportunity to ask about people who are already exploring and conducting consumer research in the metaverse in some ways. So, all right. Well, I have a second question that is a little bit more about process, because I find it interesting. You are four different collaborators, each representing a different organization. And I noticed your first slide, you said competitors. So in terms of process, I think it's interesting to see new ways of working. I guess I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about how did this come about? Was it the topic that brought you all together? How did you decide? Your backgrounds are very different. I mean, obviously a range of skills to complement, but how did this sort of all come about?
I think it was a topic. We were like children, Really, I think we were like children when we began working in this kind of realm. I think we were like children. We explored Roblox, but we really enjoyed it. And after that, after behaving like children, because we did it, we were together, we got together because of kind of a same interest, a same passion. It was not about gaming or video gaming, it was about discovering something new, because a researcher doesn't stop to whatever he knows in the moment. He goes on discovering something new. And I discovered in my colleagues, Daniela, Massimo, Luca, the same passion that I had. And we really enjoyed sharing those moments, exploring those things. And then we became passionate about it. And then we became serious about it. And then we asked ourselves, how can we do about it? And then we became really much more serious and wondered, what about our research methodologies? What can we do inside? And then we really were able to went off the traditional methodologies and discovered that if you want to go into a new channel or a new world, you have to adopt new methodologies. And we were totally on the same page. I think I answered in a way or in another way. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? I think we have time for one more, maybe. Let me just see in the chat. All right. Well, in that case, I would like to say thank you so very much to you all for sharing your research and your time and talking with us. We are actually now going to go into a networking break in our Gather app. This is an opportunity for you all to also talk and pull aside perhaps the speakers if they will be attending, and have one-on-one more deep dive conversations on the methodologies and things like that. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you in the next session in the networking room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you.